In this next video, I'm going to talk about the golf swing halfway back. Sound good? Keep watching. Hey, it's Troy from Hitting It Solid here. Let's talk about this golf swing halfway back. So, what does that even look like? So, if I'm set up to a ball, face on here to the camera, and I'll show you this from another angle, halfway back would be as I make my takeaway, and just as my wrists start to hinge there, that's what I would consider to be a halfway back position in the backswing. So it's a really critical position. It sets you up for the rest of the backswing and the rest of the golf swing. So what are some key positions we want to get into to ensure we're doing this right? So first thing for me, as I start my takeaway, I'm opening up my hips. Really important that your wrists hinge upwards and not back behind you. I'll show you from this angle here. So from down the line here, this is our halfway back position, right about here. You'll see here my wrists, I want them hinging up. I don't want them hinging back, getting the club trap behind me. I want them hinging up. And there's no sort of one ideal position when you get into this stage, but this is more of a general guideline. Most good players fall into these positions, but if you're not quite right, not quite exact, that's okay. So you'll see my hips start to open. As I hinge, you'll see hinging up. Now in this position here, my club should be roughly between my two arms somewhere. It's a bit hard for me to see from here, but it should be not out there or not out there, somewhere about there. And you'll know you're doing this right just by feeling the weight of the club. If you're feeling it too far behind you, you know you're doing it incorrectly. So that's real key, making sure those wrists, this position here, those wrists hinge upwards. Really important, not back, but hinge up. So the other key part is we want those, make sure those hips start to open. So as I go halfway back, see my hips are starting to open, I'm hinging up. Hips here start down. We don't want these hips to remain pointing at our ball here, we want them to start opening up into this position here. Another really great checkpoint for you, and this is ideal for checking in the mirror or on video, is try to perform somewhere close to this L position that you may have heard about before. So if I get to our halfway back position there, you'll see here my lead arm and the club have formed the letter L. And that way you know you've started to hinge your wrists correctly and you've got this backswing going in the right direction. So aim for that L position. What we don't want to see is ideally something like this, where your wrists haven't hinged at all. It is different for everyone. You'll see some golfers hinge very early, some hinge very late. But as a general guideline, for something like you and me, for your weekend or your midweek club handicap golfer, we want to be hinging somewhere around there, forming that letter L. That forms a really solid basis for your golf swing. So the next piece, this is another big key that's not really talked about that much. I did a video recently on it and it's super important, and that's getting this right shoulder high and the left shoulder low. Now this will get higher as you get more into the backswing, but at the golf swing halfway back, you'll see here as I start to turn here, my left shoulder is distinctly lower than my right. And that's ensuring I stay in posture and keep my golf swing on plane. I'll show you from this angle. You'll see here, my left shoulder lower than my right. Really important, you don't want to fall into bad habits, which is really easy to do, is to roll those wrists inside, stand up out of your posture like this, and get really flat shoulder plane here. You want to be looking to maintain that nice angle, that nice right shoulder high angle at that halfway back position that really sets you up for a great golf swing. Now, another little key you can do, grab an alignment stick. Now, if you don't have an alignment stick, you can do this with another golf club or a piece of wood or just something. Attach it to the end of the club. This is to help give you more of a visual of this halfway back position. Now, if I set up to a ball, just put it in front of your body. As I go back, if I'm at that halfway back position somewhere there, I want this little end of this alignment stick, I want it pointing somewhere down towards the golf ball. It doesn't have to be perfect, exact, but somewhere. I don't want it like this, which would be too steep, and I don't want it like that, which would be way too flat, but I want it somewhere down, pointing at the golf ball, which is on our target line halfway back. So somewhere about there. It's a bit hard for me to tell, but I think somewhere about there looks about right. That's a great little checkpoint you can practice at home. Use a video, use a mirror, and that makes sure you get that golf halfway back position right. Now, the next thing I'll show you, and again, this is not a perfect science, everyone's backswing is different, their halfway back position is different as well. From this angle here, as I go back, now you see as I start to turn here, my left arm will be roughly on the same plane as my shoulder. And what I mean by that is your shoulder creates an angle during your backswing. So from this angle here, as we turn, you'll see that angle that's formed there. We want this club to be roughly at this halfway back, start to be getting in line with that shoulder. We don't want to be up like this, and we don't want to be sort of too much like this. We want to get that club roughly, that left arm, sorry, roughly on the same plane as your shoulder plane. Now, you can be a little bit higher than, a little bit lower, that doesn't matter, but aim to get it somewhere on that same plane as your shoulder, that lead arm, and that will really help you out. So that is the golf swing halfway back. Drop a comment down below if you've worked on this. Maybe there's a particular area you've struggled with. Drop a comment down below. I'll reply to every single one of you. Thanks so much for watching. See you soon. Click and watch the video on your screen now. It's going to go into more detail about getting that right shoulder high in the backswing, which ties in really nicely with this video. If you'd like to learn how to play amazing golf, consider subscribing to the channel. If you have any other further questions or comments, please let me know. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.